In the vast, desolate stretches of Utah's desert, where the starlit sky met the rolling sandstone, four friends decided to abandon their urban lives for a weekend of adventure. The sun beat down on their heads, warping the horizon into a fickle mirage. Eager but oblivious, they tread a path that would reluctantly lead them toward tales of dread, whispering from tongue to ear, the kind meant to keep you awake at night, hiding beneath your covers. Evan stood like a sentry against the sweetly deceptive backdrop of the Utah desert. He was tall, towering, his physique sculpted like granite from hours of grueling workout sets in the fluorescent haze of a gym, where the noise of clanking weights and heavy breathing lingered like an intoxicating perfume. Dark hair framed his chiseled face, falling just above striking blue eyes that shimmered with vitality. Evan wiped sweat from his sun-kissed cheeks, a glistening sheen that captured the light, and with a wide, careless smile beckoned toward a small clearing. "Look, there!" His voice rang with enthusiasm, echoing triumphantly through the stillness. He hurried toward a sheltered spot, the oasis he had envisioned after hours of trekking. "This is the place I was aiming for," he declared, his smile wide and radiant, lighting up his face with pure joy, as if he had finally found his true home. "Wait for us," Honey chimed, a word of encouragement mixed with familiarity and fondness, her lilt dancing through the air. She trailed behind Evan, embracing her companion's energy, but carrying the weight of her own static existence. Thin but not athletic, Liz was acutely aware of the toll her 9-to-5 job in a nail salon took, sinking into plushed seats, sharing laughter over glossy magazines, while her body ached for movement. Only when the weekend arrived did she let herself escape into nature's embrace, even if it meant bearing the frailty of her own too quiet life. Dust lingered behind them like a strong perfume that all ladies wear to church. "Isn't it perfect?" Evan yelled, his voice a buoy in the expanding ocean of twilight, standing center stage in the clearing, the golden rays of the sinking sun like stage lights illuminating his pristine form. John ambled at the back, his gait slow and deliberative. Protecting his friends was one of the few roles he relished, even if he often lived for the binding safety of his apartment, with its four walls and cluttered solitude. The clean, predictable spaces of bars, crowded with familiar faces, were his comfort zones, not this ragtag assembly of friends playing adventurers. With perfect white teeth flashing in an easy smile, he placed the hiking bag down on the dusty ground, with a heavy thud that somehow felt weighty, as though it marked an invisible line of safety. With the sun sinking into the horizon, casting long shadows across the rock-strewn earth, the couples gathered around a crackling campfire. Heated sausages sizzled savagely over the flames, their warmth standing in striking relief against the encroaching chill of night. Ghost stories unfurled around the fire, light-hearted recountings of urban legends, where laughter filled the gaps, wrapping tightly, protecting them from whatever seeped from the desert's mouth. But as darkness enveloped the desert, a blanket of eerie stillness settled, heavier than the lingering evening air. The faint rustle of something inhuman echoed, a dry sound weaving through the bushes, laced with forbidden whispers of forgotten things. "Probably just the wind," John chuckled, though his voice wavered, losing its sturdy facade. An unseen presence loomed, suffocating the familiar ease they had carelessly stitched together on countless evenings before. Yeah, all those ghost stories got to us, Carmen smiled, though the brightness of her expression felt uncertain. Let's go for a short walk, she suggested, a spark of bravery igniting within her. The urge to stretch their legs and shake off the unsettling feeling urged her forward. But Evan and Liz exchanged cautious glances, fear flickering between them like the dwindling firelight. Reluctantly, they agreed, their souls tethered to the otherworldliness of the night, Liz's reckless spirit drawing her deeper into the desolate beauty of the desert. As they ventured further down the shadowy path, the waning glow of their lanterns traced their steps, sending ripples of uncertainty through the encroaching darkness. A sense of being watched prickled their skin, an unsettling chill creeping into their bones like icy fingers. "Look!" Liz exclaimed suddenly, a note of glee piercing the thick blanket of discomfort. She pointed toward a strange outline in the moonlight. It was tall and gaunt, almost human in shape, standing by a small desert tree, clothed in what looked like weathered animal skins, an unsettling, grotesque mimicry of a living being. Its face was hulking and pale, dry and desiccated, as though snatched from the depths of nightmares, a morbid echo of something once substantial. Evan caught a glimpse of the figure from the corner of his eye, but as he steadied his gaze, it slipped away like smoke. He fixated on the tree, scanning for movement, searching for shadows that might conceal a lurking presence, but there was nothing. No people, no animals, just the wind rustling through the dried desert grass, waving its eerie song through the stillness. It's probably just a mirage, he told himself, clinging to the logic that felt increasingly tenuous. "Guys, this is actually starting to freak me out," Carmen whispered, her voice a fragile thread woven with fear, as she instinctively stepped back, a primal urge deep within her urging caution. Suddenly, the figure re-emerged from the thin air, darting fleetingly away into the darkness, leaving only a creeping sense of horror in its wake. "Did you see that?" Evan shouted, panic rising in his throat like bile. The words hung heavy in the air, and the three friends rushed to his side, huddling close together like children, seeking their mother's embrace in the face of danger. The air on the back of their necks stood on end, prickling like icicles in the biting winter wind. With a sudden gust, the song of the crickets fell silent, leaving an oppressive stillness that seemed to swallow the very sound of their breaths. Fear wrapped around them like cold vines, tightening and creating a sense of dread in their hearts. One by one, under the guise of camaraderie, they felt an inexplicable pull, urging them further into the night. The creature seemed to beckon, its soft, honeyed echoes whispering promises of irresistible wonders hidden within the shadows. But Carmen shook off the feeling as images of her father flashed before her eyes, grounding her in reality. "Guys, we should get back to the campsite," she said, her voice trembling, overwhelmed by a strange, shadowy shape that flickered at the edge of her vision. "We should take knives or something, just to be safe if this creep comes near us." She turned anxiously, scanning the inky darkness for any sign of other presences lurking among the trees. "You're right, honey," John replied, his tone calming her anxiety as he wrapped an arm around her shoulder, steering her towards safety. "Let's go, guys," he glanced back at Evan and Liz, urging them to follow. They arrived at the campsite, where the fire provided warmth and light. casting a deceptive sense of security. Liz and Carmen quickly retrieved the small, dirty knives they used for food preparation, their little blades feeling like weak shields among the chilly unknown. Leaning against the largest red desert rock, they nested together, their backs pressed against its rough, ancient surface. Meanwhile, John and Evan exchanged knowing glances, both aware that they could rely on one another if a confrontation arose. A strange hum echoed in the distance, a voice that was half human and yet something silkily otherworldly, almost sweet. It twisted through the air like a siren song from an ancient fairy tale. The sound was hypnotizing, disturbingly familiar, but it sent chills racing down everyone's spine. A stark reminder of the unknowable creature that lurked just beyond their line of sight. Time slipped by, each moment stretching longer than the last, as the haunting hum persisted. They had lost track of how long it has been since the eerie melody has first cleansed their ears, and the fire, once the crackling beacon of warmth, now flickered weakly in the glowing darkness. Evan, always the bravest of the group, finally broke the tense stillness. "I'll go gather more firewood," he declared, a sense of determination glimmering in his eyes. "It will be just a 5-minute trek, I promise." Yet, as he turned to melt into the shadows, a quiet unease seemed to cling to him, like the fading light, leaving the remaining three clinging to each other, bracing against the night's looming mystery. "We'll be right here," John called out, but his words lingered uneasily in the still air, punctured by a doubt that gnawed at their collective nerves. Even tugged slowly, and beam of his flashlight slicing through the darkness like a hesitant lifeline, he steeled himself, knowing he had to reach the tree where they'd first glimpsed the creature. "It's just a person," he reassured himself. "Some psycho camping alone, just trying to mess with us." "Be brave, Evan," he murmured, quickening his pace in determination to complete his task. Finally, he arrived at a small desert tree, its crooked branches reaching out like twisted fingers among the starless sky. Evan took a deep breath, a wave of relief washing over him. Just as a faint smile threatened to pull at the corners of his mouth, the sharp crack of the branch splintering behind him sliced through the silence like a razor's edge. Back at the camp, minutes crawled by, thickening the weight of anxiety that hung in the air. Liz paced restlessly, trying to quell the rising tide of her pacing thoughts. "He should be back by now," she suddenly yelled at John, her voice cutting through the stillness, fraught with tension. An eerie hum echoed in response, as if the darkness itself were answering her. Captivated by an allure woven from an unseen hand, Liz found herself gazing into the velvety blackness. It was as if the creature's call summoned her, its magic too potent to resist. In a trance, she drifted away from the safety of the firelight, her curiosity pulling her deeper into the oppressive embrace of the night, searching for Evan. Yet, once she ventured into the shadows, she vanished, never to return. "Where is she going?" Carmen's whisper sounded like a shudder, heart thudding loudly against the rafters of her ribcage. Panic surged through John, who squirmed, urging her to stay close as the air thickened around them, coiling with inexplicable dread. Each heartbeat became louder, echoing into the void that surrounded their helpless forms. Then came the sound, stark and wet, a guttural, monstrous rustle from the shadows, and under the disfigured moonlight, They glimpsed the figure away. The skeletal thing crouched low, ripping into flesh, the sight horrifically too vivid to comprehend. Fear gripped John as instinct pushed him backward, but Carmen stood frozen, consumed by an insatiable curiosity that beckoned her into an abyss of the unknown. Carmen ran, John bellowed, desperation lacing his voice, but the insatiable darkness had already entwined around her. The creature's yellow teeth gleamed, snatching her into the void, with the efficiency of a predator that had stalked them for eons. Now utterly alone, an icy chill crawled up John's spine. He stumbled backwards toward the dimming light of the campfire, a last beacon of safety, but it was a false hope. Shadows snatched and multiplied, swirling hungrily around him. Frantically, he grasped a nearby branch, raising it defensively as his heart hammered raw against its bony cage. He turned to flee back to the car, a sanctuary that seemed further away with each step. But then the being emerged again, a grotesque apparition awash in the dying ember's gleam, revealing its grisly visage, a hulking skull-like face stretched out over a hollow void. It was as if death had come cloaked in the flesh of nightmare, waiting with hungry eyes. John realized with dreadful clarity that the stories had always been true. It was a hunter, a consumer of souls, lurking patiently for its prey. With a final piercing scream that sliced through the dark, John vanished behind the dunes, swallowed whole by terror, becoming yet another chapter in the ghostly tales that linger among the cursed whispers of Skinwalker Ranch. Silence reigned in the desert night, reclaiming its darkness, leaving behind the flickering remnants of what had once been. A gathering, eager only to taste adventure, cast eternally into the haunted embrace that awaited the next unsuspecting souls who wandered too close, lured by the siren call of the unknown.